Okay, good morning. Welcome to our session about how OurFamilyWizard made moving and transforming data easy with Matillion. Just a couple of quick introductions from ourselves. My name is Jamie Baker. I am Director of Product at Matillion, and with me is Beth Mattson, Senior Data Engineer at OurFamilyWizard. Just a couple of things before we start. I'll take you through the first part, talk about what we do at Matillion, give you a bit of background about our journey, and then I'll hand over to Beth to talk about Beth's journey with OurFamilyWizard. And Beth will take you through a demonstration of what they've done at OurFamilyWizard with Matillion specifically, and all the benefits, use cases and benefits that they've got from using our Matillion in anger. Just to let you know, we have a 40-minute session. We're looking to do a Q&A at the end, so we'll leave some time for that as well. So I just want to start here on what Matillion is. As we call ourselves the productivity platform for data teams, what does that really mean for everybody though? Well, really we're looking to be able to empower data teams to be able to move, transform and orchestrate data really effectively. We like to think of ourselves as data productivity and getting fast access of data as quickly as possible. So as it says there, really it makes that data work by being more productive, to empower the entire data teams, whether you're coders or non-coders alike, as I said, to move that and transform and orchestrate that data and build your data pipelines much faster to get that access, that value from that data as quickly as possible. A little bit about Matillion, if you've not heard of us already. We have about 1,500 customers across the globe. On a daily basis, we're moving more than 5 trillion rows of data. With that, as I say, low code, no code option capability that we provide across Matillion platform. And from our own surveys and surveys across the industry, we've got over 90% that people would recommend Matillion. Now, in terms of our journey with Databricks, we're purpose-built for Databricks. We've got integration through our ELT tool, our MDL tool as well, serving Databricks Delta Lake. We have integrations with Delta Live tables, Unity Catalog and the like as needed. We are actually being backed by Databricks Ventures, as you can see there, and for our ELT tool, we are actually Partner Connect certified. And coming later on this year, our Matillion Data Loader tool will also be Partner Connect certified as well. So why do we exist? Essentially, if you think about these 3 pillars and some of the stats that we've got from surveys that the industry have provided to us, and also surveys that Matillion have also run themselves, is that enterprises really are limited by those existing resources. A lot of the time for data professionals is spent trying to get that data integrated into your lakehouse, into your warehouse specifically. Instead of actually doing what they need to do on a daily basis, which is actually doing that modeling capability or the analysis of that data, getting those insights faster out of that data. And as you can see, a stat there from an IBM survey said that 80% of those data professionals spent time on that data integration rather than doing that core work of really getting the value out of that data. The middle pillar talks about how the growing data volume is becoming more complex, leading to more delays around delivery and those lost insights. And again, 46% of scientists that we've surveyed say that the biggest hurdle is really getting access to that core data across the business. It's like you can imagine all those different data silos across the business, and how can we centralize that data more effectively and get faster access to that data? And then finally, the third pillar you can see there's not enough people. There's too much demand on data professionals across the business, data-driven businesses. Every business across the globe should be data-driven and is data-driven, and therefore it puts enormous pressure on those data teams to be able to get, to be able to generate that data, get that value access to that data, especially with the size of the team, the technology involved, and the budget, of course, as well. So again, some real key stats there to call out about why Matillion exists and what we do across data integration purposes. Excuse me. So what does Matillion uniquely do to solve this problem? So I touched on this just a couple of minutes ago. Three key areas of focus for us is to move that data. Be able to make it easy for you to access that data and move that data into your lakehouse. Then what do you want to do with that data? You want to transform that data. You can do complex coding on that data, and then you can actually get your value insights out of that. And when you build your data pipelines, you really want to be able to automate and orchestrate those data pipelines effectively across your business. And that automation, centralization, ease of use capability is really what Matillion provides to you. So we underpin our platform with those key elements to deliver unlimited scale through the number of users, the projects that we have, and being able to show you that very easily within a user interface. And we've introduced a new pricing model that really does just charge you for what you use across that journey. How do we do it? Well, kind of touched on these key themes before. We really want to simplify and automate that data movement. We want to eliminate those manual processes. We want to be able to free up the time for data professionals to be able to really get value out of what they're doing on a daily basis. We want to be able to bridge that skills gap for that data transformation. As talked before, more and more pressures on the team, more and more demand from the business, more and more value needed around the skills to be able to make it much easier, to be able to provide a low-code, no-code format. But also with that data being delivered in the lakehouse, you've got the ability then to do your modeling, do your high code if you need to, but really empower that generation of data professionals to be able to really focus on what they do on a day-to-day basis. And as that demand grows, as I mentioned before, we want to be able to provide much better handling of the scale and complexity around pipeline orchestration. So we're introducing things like what we call Pipeline OS, which is agent container-based technology that executes your data pipelines and provides full unlimited scalability around that. So you can actually execute in parallel, and you can actually auto scale up and down in terms of what you use, and that leads into that pricing model that I talked about earlier. Excuse me, it's a bit slow. Okay, I think there's another slide, but I'm now going to hand over to Beth to talk about OurFamilyWizard.
Hi. All right, I wanted to start by just giving you some context about OurFamilyWizard. So we are a resource for families. We help families living separately thrive. So what that means is families who are dealing with separation, legal separation, divorce, and the struggles that go along with co-parenting in a situation like that. We're a resource. We're a place where parents can manage calendars and messages back and forth, or with a legal professional, events, and like fun stuff like birthday party photos. We are a global platform. We have users across the globe, and we're recommended by users across the globe, both parents and professionals. So I was looking through this deck, and I wish I had said good decisions are guided by data. So I was hired by OurFamilyWizard about a year and a half ago, and it was at the point that OurFamilyWizard was really getting excited about data. So starting to dig into the data that we had, starting to determine what opportunities might exist for us, and then preparing to build out a data solution. During my interview process, the three things that I brought up over and over again were sort of these three principles. So analytics work best in an analytical environment. And what I mean by that is avoiding data silos, avoiding, user having a spreadsheet on their laptop, another user's got a crosswalk, another user's got a VLOOKUP, and those things don't play together. Analytics work best when the organization's data is in one place. This is a really big deal, particularly when you have analysts on different teams who have different focuses. Often there is an organizational goal that everyone's working towards, but different teams have their own OKRs, and you start to have conflicts in how you're interpreting the data that you've got. And then the big one for me, analytics should be driven by questions, and the answers should be actionable. So I think like data is really fun to dig into. It's really fun to play around with. But if you're not asking questions that are going to have answers you can act on, you're going to run into trouble. I was actually at a conference in Minneapolis a few weeks ago, and one of the big focuses was how do you prevent your data team from just being a cost center? And I think that's the answer. You have to ask questions that are going to have actionable answers. So using sort of these three beliefs, we started to put together a project plan about what kind of a data solution we wanted to have. And we called this No Walled Gardens. So the idea was we wanted a solution that was super flexible, super comprehensive, that would let us grow and change over time. We did not want to be locked in to a solution that wasn't scalable or that we wouldn't be able to integrate new technologies moving forward. We really wanted to centralize our data in one place. That was a big focus. And then we wanted it to integrate with Tableau because we already had Tableau on board, and Tableau is fantastic. Databricks was an early decision that we made. It was a perfect solution. We were able to have analysts jump right in and take SQL that they had already been writing and then build it out, joining new data sets. Our entire organization was really energized by the idea of raw, logical, and summarized data layers. It was something we'd started to do in Tableau, so we'd kind of proven out that idea, and we just wanted to grow from it. And then we have a lot of in-house engineers who write Python, so Databricks was a good fit. I think there's a myth that data is really easy to use. You just have to get your hands on it, and it will like reveal itself to you. It will tell you everything you need to know, and that's not the case. Data is actually really complex, and there are just inherent challenges. So at OurFamilyWizard, we were held back by sort of everyday data obstacles that are probably familiar to people in this room. We had data everywhere. We have an on-prem Oracle database that's really hard to integrate with other systems. Most of our data is in that database, but not all of our data. We've got S3 buckets that are updated throughout the day, and we've got S3 buckets in more than one AWS account. And then we are in the process of converting from a homegrown Oracle CRM to HubSpot, which is a cloud resource. Analytics are slow. I think everybody's experienced sort of like the manual processing that happens in companies where one person pulls a data set and they send it to another person, and that person adds a VLOOKUP, and then another person takes it and puts it in Tableau, and then another person adds some finishing touches. That process can break down. It can be really slow, and that can lead to decisions being made based on like a gut check as opposed to a data-driven analysis. We had legacy systems that were struggling to scale, where you have a solid query, but it just won't complete. And then BI tools, in our case Tableau. Tableau shines when you're using it for data presentation. We've had less luck with it in terms of data transformation. And then resources are scarce. So we really needed a cost-effective solution. We wanted to make sure anything that we did was only adding value. And we definitely had a, if it's not broken, don't fix it mentality at our organization. So when I say that data is complex, what I'm talking about is sort of the quirkiness of data. Users and software engineers are able to shoehorn data into existing structures in fascinating ways. So I have run into all of these, and I'm guessing you have too. Table A used to work one way. We changed our minds. We stopped capturing the original data. We're capturing new data, but we're using the original columns, and we're putting this new data into those original columns. or we really want to report on this new idea, we think it's really cool, but the query won't complete. Or we've collected lots of intricate, detailed data. It's not actionable, we have it, we're storing it, but we're not using it. And humans do this because humans are creative. So unique data deserves a unique solution. We are not the first organization to have these problems. Data in custom databases is custom, and as technology changes over time, the data in databases changes over time, even if it's the same database. Tables have different frequencies and usage patterns. Everybody is familiar with like the one table that's needed for every query that your analysts are running, but it's only updated annually. And then there's like a table that's massive, it's updated millions of times a day. You just need a little sliver of data from that table. Different developers take different approaches over time. So I, at my last job, could tell which developer had worked on a table just based on the design, because different developers have different approaches. And then you have OLAP and OLTP tables existing in the same environment in production. I've seen this most often where an engineer takes a data set, they summarize it to feed it back to an end user, and the reporting team sort of gets wind of it, and it becomes a really important reporting table. And then we talked about this, this was brought up just this morning in the keynote, but like, there's always test data. There's always data that you don't actually want in your analyses, and you need to identify it and pull it out. So Matillion delivers data clarity in the cloud. Matillion was a great solution for us, and I'll talk a little bit about how we arrived there. This is a quote that I really like, and I'll let you read it, but the reason I included it in the slide deck was I used to dream about perfect databases that made sense. The columns were named in a way that made sense. The tables were named in a way that made sense. The data types made sense. Things were easy and obvious in how to join them together. And the fact of the matter is, human beings are behind databases. Human beings create databases, we populate databases, we shoehorn data into databases, and human beings are creative and beautiful and interesting and complex, and so our data is too. So why Matillion? Matillion's flexible, functional, fundamental. There's low-code design. This has been really great with users who are not very confident in their SQL capabilities. We can actually sit and look at a job and talk through the logic in that job without having to dig into code, and that's been a really nice resource for just talking to an analyst and talking through some ideas. It's built for the cloud, it's super fast. There are high code capabilities for more technical users, so someone like me who wants to write code, I can still do that, and I can weave it in wherever that makes the most sense. It's really functional. We can move data really easily. I like this so much. This has saved me so much time reading API documentation. I can just pull a component that Matillion's already set up. It's already highlighting what I need to get data from that API, and it's sped us up tremendously. We can transform anything and everything, and then I really like the fact that you can schedule your orchestration jobs. That's a big deal. Databricks, Matillion integrates seamlessly with Databricks. It's just been a solid solution for us. The first week that we had Matillion, we were able to connect all of our data sources and bring data on board. So I want to do a demonstration here for you. We're going to look at a job in Matillion where we're comparing a set of professionals that are in our legacy system to professionals that we've added to HubSpot. All right, so what I'm doing here is adding a transformation job, giving it a name, and then I'm going to open that job right here. We're looking at a blank canvas. The first thing I pull onto the canvas is a table input. I'm identifying the database in Databricks that I want. So this is a table that we had in our Oracle database initially. You can type, the table name if you know it, or you can search in a list. So I'm pulling a users table. In this case, there are just certain columns that I was looking for, so I'm pulling just those few columns. And again, you can start typing if you know what your column is called. The next thing that I'm going to do is add a filter. So we're going to limit this result set down to professionals. It's a very simple component. Each component has its own look. So just looking at the canvas, you can see it's a table component. It's a filter component. In this case, we're filtering to our pros. And then you can actually change the name of the component. So I can give myself a note, this is filtered to pros. I don't have to click back into that component later on. I can see what it is. And then I'm setting up a join here. What I'm going to do is identify the path. That's the sort of the start of my join. And I'm going to go ahead and alias this path to P for pros. And so I don't have anything joined yet. And then we're going to pull another table onto the canvas. So something that's nice about Matillion, we're connected to Databricks here. And if you maybe can't remember which table it was that you were looking at, so in this case, I'm like, is it zip codes that I wanted? I can pull all of the columns. I can go to sample, run a row count. The row count is like my first indication that this is not the table I'm to pull onto the canvas. But I can get a sample of data from Databricks as well. So I'm looking at it here, realizing, nope, this is not the table that I wanted. And then it's easy enough to delete the component. I'm going to grab the correct component, which is a user addresses table that's in our silver environment, so our somewhat summarized and clean data. In this case, I'm going to grab all of the columns in this particular table, join it in. This is going to be a really simple join. We're going to go in, identify the table we're joining into this path, give it an alias of A, and I'm going to set it up as a left join. And then we just need to identify how to join the two tables together, which is easy. User ID equals user ID. And you can pick your output columns. So in this case, I'm going to get rid of one of those user ID columns because we don't need more than one. Jumping ahead here, I've joined in a couple more tables. And the next thing I want to show you is adding a calculator component. I'm going to add in a case statement, and this is a really simple case statement. We're just going to look for instances where a user ID exists in both systems. So we're just going to set up user ID equals user ID, then give me a 1, else give me a 0, and that's the end of that case statement. And we're going to jump ahead again. So we'll take a look. This is that case statement that I just built out. I've got another table that I've joined in. I've got another calculator sort of down the road. This one's a little bit more complex. We're looking at first name, last name, and email comparisons. And then we're going to do a rename at the end, which is a really nice component to, again, name the columns what I want, what's appropriate for this project, limit the columns that I'm returning. I don't need maybe all of those in my final product. I'm running a rewrite, so this is running right now in Databricks. You can take a look in a couple of places to sort of follow the steps as Matillion runs the job. And you can see here each of the steps as it's running through. And the job is completed. We'll see here at the bottom there are 913 records in this little sample data set that I've put together. And then here we are in Databricks. We've got a query of that new table. I've obfuscated the user ID here, but this is the data that was loaded. And there we go. We've got our 913 rows. Which I've circled with my mouse. Oh, but we don't want to do that again. Shoot. All right. So the solution was winning over our organization. Even our toughest critics are seeing the value of Matillion. Like, Matillion was it. People were so excited about Databricks. Databricks was like such an obvious choice given the kinds of data that we have. And then we were really struggling with, like, how are we going to load data into Databricks? How are we going to manage this? How are we going to write our ETL? So data is still quirky, but Matillion is helping us make sense of those quirks. All of our data is in one place, and it's beautiful. I got a comment from an analyst who was using a data set that I put together that was combining sort of some of these data sets that had previously been really difficult to get at all in one place. And she said that this was a seriously significant quality of life improvement, which, I mean, like, high praise. We've been super pleased with the combination of the two tools. Matillion with Databricks, we've just been able to sort of go from walking along this data path, we're just like running. So I think these, again, are going to be familiar sentiments to people in this room. Data's everywhere, analytics are slow, resources are scarce. With Matillion, we have really unified our entire data ecosystem. It's this sort of one look in to see what's going on. We're able to make data-driven decisions in a different way. And it's really nice for users who are heavy coders and also for users who aren't. It's a really easy, obvious way to look at logic. We've been able to accelerate transformations. New data can be loaded so fast. I was in a meeting and we were talking about possibly bringing some Zendesk data into Databricks. And in the meeting, it was like a half-hour meeting, I was able to pull up Matillion, set up a really simple transformation job, pull in some data from Zendesk, and then like show in the meeting, is this what we're talking about? People were thrilled. And we're able to deliver value faster. So we implemented Matillion at the beginning of this year. We have been moving all of our reporting over to Databricks because it's been a really effective solution. When we need new tables, they're easy to get. And when we need to change logic, it's easy to do. Thanks.
Thank you, Beth. That's great. Really appreciate you taking time out to give your story and about how effectively that you use Matillion. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, predominantly about that whole purpose of being able to move that data, to orchestrate that data, transform that data really effectively. Whether you're a high code, low code, or no code users, Matillion offers that platform across our capability. So this is just a slide talking about Matillion ETL for Databricks. Again, you know, what's already been said through this presentation and what Beth has kindly taken us through in terms of the journey for OurFamilyWizard and that demonstration is, Matillion really is, you know, the pinnacle of being able to provide that enterprise connectivity. The access to those data sources, being able to orchestrate and transform that data effectively, whether we connect to those databases, those particular SaaS systems, we have ability to connect to those APIs, we have batch pipeline capability, we have change data pipeline capability. So that extract and load you can see at the top there, you know, it ties into that bronze kind of Databricks level where you can actually get that raw data and feed that into your lake. And then you be able to like move up and start cleansing that data at that silver level, being able to make sure that data is available to use. And then up at the gold level, being able to transform that data again to be able to get that value by pumping that data into your visualization tools, your BI tools, and getting that real value, that real insights out of that data. And it's all underpinned by Databricks. Databricks and Delta Lake, as I said before, we're Partner Connect certified for ETL. We leverage Unity Catalog, which we all know from all the keynote sessions this week, how important that is for Databricks users, and how important that is going to be going forward for Databricks users as well. And like I say, for your data science capabilities, your AI, your ML tools, feeding that data or using that data effectively in your Delta Lake, fed by Matillion's capabilities. So for Matillion going forward, how we really look at it is these three key pillars. First of all, everyone ready. What does that really mean, everyone ready? It really helps all your data workers at all levels. We don't want to be a blocker for anybody, whether you're a data analyst, a data engineer, data scientist. We really want to be able to provide the needs for the, across that full data spectrum, being able to remove barriers for entry, being intuitive and scale easily. Stack ready. We really tightly integrate with the tech that everyone uses, our customers use. Cloud ready, all of that technology that's available to us. Optimize that processing to increase that speed to value. It's what we call getting business data ready faster. And that's really key for us here at Matillion. We want to maintain that governance and system simplicity around that stack readiness. Observability on single panes of glass through all of those data pipelines that you've built, you're orchestrating. We'll be able to provide that across being that stack ready. And then future ready. Being able to integrate around flexible deployments, around that governance, around that security as part of our solution. Really help customers future-proof their data programs. We introduced our data unlimited scalability through the execution of running those data pipelines. So we can scale up, scale down, and run the jobs in parallel. And as I said at the start of the presentation, we really can tie that back to the new pricing model we got in place, which really charges you for what you use. And being able to deploy flexibly. Really a selection of deployment options we offer across Matillion in terms of our hosted agents and also our customer deployed agents as well. So really, just to sum up, really about data productivity, about being the productivity platform that Matillion is, just think of these things that everyone ready, stack ready, and future ready for Matillion. And as Beth kindly showed through their journey with OurFamilyWizard about that value of extracting really, really quickly, about that capability that Beth showed within the product about being able to really either inject your own code into that or just use that low code capability to get your data pipelines set up and running. Automated, centralized data effectively for you to, as I said earlier, really free you up to do that day-to-day work that you really need to do. So if you would like any further details, please come and see us at our booth in the Expo Hall. We're more than happy to spend some time talking about Matillion further with you. All the great stuff that we're doing in Matillion, all the new productivity that we're doing around our new product that we can show you a demo of. That's coming later on down the line for Databricks. As I say, if you need any further information or if you want to see it in action, please come and visit us as well. And I'd just like to say a final thank you to Beth for presenting and showing us in your demo, and we'll open it up to the floor for any questions that you may have.